Our trip to Scotland started in Glasgow. We stayed in a hostel on top of a hill and mostly spent our time wandering around. I was really impressed by this magpie, but apparently they're very common in Europe. We meandered over to the museum and heard this organ play itself. Followed by more aimless wandering, and here's our room at the hostel.
I mostly supposed to get you sitting in the window wrapping the cords.
The next day we made our way to the train station and hopped on the rails to Edinburgh. Here's Sam enjoying the ride. Once there, we climbed the castle hill to our hostel and checked in, and then we spent a weird amount of time wandering through cemeteries trying to find the oldest gravestone. Mind you, this was not intentional, it just kept happening. I guess it's just an Edinburgh thing. This is the Edinburgh Museum, and this is Dolly the sheep. We had lots of fun in the science section. Here is a hot air balloon demonstrating hot air go up.
Aww.
The Edinburgh Museum also had a whimsical music maker. Here it is. That night we went to Sandy Bell's and heard some live music and drank a lot of really good scotch. Here is us, slightly sloshed at the hostel. The next day we met up with my friend who will be a reoccurring character, Allie, and we all went to Holyrood Park and admired the views. This was followed by us walking all the way to Leeds. That night we saw more live music.
You're on the wrong side of the road, Sarah.
It's the right side of the road. Rental car in hand, we hit the road heading to the Highlands. We stopped along the way to do a little hike and also see a really cool kind of old church. It's from like the 1920s. Here we are in Oban, where the town was lovely but the weather was not. But it was much nicer the next morning, and we got to enjoy the views of the town before heading to Dunolly Castle. From the people who brought you Sheep Forever, we now bring you Sheep Eternity. Up next, Bird. On our way to the Isle of Skye, we stopped at that one really famous castle. You'll probably recognize it, but it was closed, so we did not get to see it. The next day, we bumped and bustled around Skye. While Iceland had waterfalls, Scotland has rainbows. Here comes the first of many.
And go stand under it.
Nat Geo moment.
It looks like it's struggling to stand in the wind.
It looks like it keeps thinking it's gonna fly and then doesn't.
Scotland also has lots of rocks and water.
What do you see, Sam?
In Scotland, a lot of the sheep are free roaming, which means they are just everywhere and walking around everywhere, and you can see them everywhere, and there are no rules for sheep. The sheep just go. Here is an example of a windy single-lane road, and the really stunning views that came with them. While driving around the island, we stopped at the Skye Museum of Island Life, which had the best mannequin people I've ever seen in my life, although I do not have footage of them. We also stopped and visited many ruined castles. Ruined castles are much more frequent in Scotland than unruined castles because after the Jacobite uprising, the English pretty much destroyed everything they could. Here's a bunny. And here is an incredible garden at a restored castle that had this really great pebble installation. I think it was for kids, but we enjoyed it very much.
Hi, YouTube.
Now let's play I Spy. Can you find Sam? There he is. The camera didn't capture it properly, but here we were literally driving into the end of a rainbow.
It's been in our hearts this whole time.
If you have a phobia of rainbows, I would recommend avoiding the Isle of Skye, Scotland, and also Ireland. There are just so many. It's really pretty if you like rainbows. But yeah, if you don't, stay away. Seriously. The next day we tried to go on a hike at the Fairy Falls, but the parking lot was very expensive.
Sam, what are we doing?
We're not paying £6, that's what we're doing.
Is this close enough?
This is close enough. Might even be too close.
Okay, let's go.
We started asking the real questions, like,
Can birds carry babies?
You've come this far, buddy. Don't be scared.
Picture and you can take the same picture right beside me.
Mine are better.
Baba, blue
heavy anymore.
This is what remains of a Neolithic structure called a broch.
Welcome to Cribs. Come on in. This is my brooch.
Or brooch if you're Sam. I now bring you a more animal hour. Here are some great sheep. Look at them run. And here are some beautiful cows.
Hey, ladies.
Or coos, as they're called by the locals. This is our final morning in Skye, where we finally took in the view of Portree, and then we continued on our way to Ullapool. The drive was absolutely stunning. And so ended the good weather. Despite the rain, we still saw a castle and a secret waterfall. But the sun eventually did come out. This is the town of Thurso, where we waited for the ferry. But it came eventually, and we made it through pretty big swells to Kirkwall on the Orkney Islands. The island was incredible. We got to see these cool standing stones. I say cool way too often, oh my gosh. And a Neolithic settlement. This is a recreation of a stone house at Skara Brae that you can walk around. Although a little bit tall, Sam fit right in.
You hungry?
Sam. Sam.
This video doesn't do it justice, but the waves were truly huge that day. Here is the sleepy town of Stormwall and some cute cats that made me miss my cats. We got to do a Highland Park distillery tour, which was incredible because we love Highland Park Scotch. And soon enough, we were back on the ferry heading to the mainland, and this time the swells were truly, truly zany. I mean, the ocean is truly a force to be reckoned with. I don't think before this I understood how big waves could get, but I sped up this next clip so hopefully you can see it better. I met a shy little snail. And then we made our way to Inverness and eventually back to Glasgow, where we hopped on a plane and headed to our next destination, Ireland.